Hi, guys. This is a season for alignment in your life. It could be alignment in health, finances, relationships. This may be your last Valentine's Day single to those single ladies. Hi, guys, and welcome to Radiate with Tanya. I'm Tanya Marie, and I'm here to empower women with valuable information and tools to grow and radiate minds. So, for many, this may be the last year that you're single because God is going to position you and align you to the right place or territories that you need to walk in for this new season. You may be changing jobs, you may be changing careers, you may be moving to another home inside the city, on another side of town, or outside your city in the same state, or completely different state, or even nation. And so this is a season that God is going to be positioning you. And as He positions you in different places, He's going to align you with the individuals that you need to meet. And so that can be for relationships or, again, business, career. And so be on the lookout for that. But you must also be ready. Right. And so to be positioned is to be found. So we're going to look at three famous women that were repositioned. And as they were repositioned to different territories, they were eventually found by the spouse that God had for them. And so we're going to take a look at Eve first. Eve is the first one that we're going to look at. And God had presented Eve to Adam. So Eve is the first woman, Adam the first man. And if you go over to Genesis 2, Genesis 2, 21 through 23 here. Take a look here, first book of the Bible. All right, Genesis 2:21. And the Lord caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept, and he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which the Lord God had taken from man made he a woman and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman because she was taken out of man. And so you see right here, it says in verse 22, and brought her unto the man. So God brought Eve to Adam, and they were living in the Garden of Eden at that time. So that was the territory, that was the home. And so if you see it right there, that was the first marriage. That was the first marriage. And God brought Eve to Adam in the Garden of Eden. So we're going to take a look at another famous woman that many of us read about in the Bible. Those of you guys that, read the Bible. See here, we're going to take a look at Rebecca. So we're going to take a look at Rebecca. So it was time for Isaac to be married. And so Isaac's father is Abraham. And Isaac's servant went to go look for a wife for Isaac. So he searched for a wife for Isaac. And so we're going to see here again, we're going to go to Genesis 24. And so it looks like Isaac's servant didn't look for a wife for Isaac in his own country land. He went for it outside the country land to find a wife for him. And so we can see that in, see here, Genesis 24 and 4. But thou shalt go into my country and to my kindred and take a wife unto my son Isaac. And so that was Abraham, Isaac's father, talking to Isaac's servant and regarding finding a wife for, his son amongst his kindred. And so the servant went about to go search for a wife for Isaac. And, he prayed and saw this woman at the well. And that's in chapter 24, verse 16. And the damsel was fair, very fair to look upon, a virgin, neither had any man known her. And she went down to the well and filled her pitcher and came up. And the servant ran to meet her and said, let me, I pray thee, drink a little water of thy pitcher. All right. And so he met his wife in another country amongst the kindred at the well. And so the servant was, a little nervous that this woman will not go back with him to go meet Isaac, but she agreed and went with him, as we can see in chapter 24, verses 63 through 67. And Isaac went out to meditate in the field at the eventide. So the servant brought Rebekah to Isaac and his homeland. So it says in verse 63, and Isaac went out to meditate in the field at the eventide, and he lifted up his eyes and saw, and behold, the camels were coming. Oh. And Rebekah lifted up her eyes, and when she saw Isaac, she lighted off the camel. For she had said unto the servant, what man is this that walketh in the field to meet us? And the servant had said, it is my master. Therefore she took a veil and covered herself. And the servant told Isaac all the things that he had done. And Isaac brought her into her mother Sarah's tent, and took Rebekah, and she became his wife. And he loved her, and Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. And so again, we see that Rebekah had to go where Isaac was at. In order to be with him, she had to be positioned. She had to be repositioned away from her country land. And she had to be repositioned where Isaac was at to be in alignment with him to become his wife. So that was number 2. Number 3, we see Ruth with Boaz. And so many of us know about the story of Ruth. She was a Moabitess that was a widow, and her mother-in-law was a widow as well. And Ruth decided that she wanted to stay with Naomi, her mother-in-law. Her mother-in-law was going to her country land of Bethlehem. So that's where Naomi was from. Ruth was not from there. So that was not her people. That was not her culture. Whole different culture, different people. But she wanted to go with Naomi there. And if we look at Ruth 1:16, and Ruth said, entreat me not to leave thee, or to return from following after thee. For whither thou goest, I will go, and where thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God my God. So right there we see that Ruth was willing to go with her mother-in-law, and she was willing to start a whole new beginning and a whole new chapter in her life. And she just didn't know that she was being repositioned so that she can get into alignment with her future spouse. Boaz. So once in Bethlehem, Ruth had to glean corn in the field, for food. And her and Naomi, they got there. They didn't have much. They didn't have much at all. They were coming from Moab, and both were widows and were going into Bethlehem with not much at all. No spouse, very little. And so they had to go glean for food in the field. And the field that they were gleaning in belongs to a man that was kinsman of Naomi's husband's family. And so we're going to look at, see here, Ruth 2, 1 through 2. And Naomi had a kinsman of her husband's, a mighty man of wealth, of the family of Elimelech, and his name was Boaz. And Ruth the Moabitess said unto Naomi, let me now go to the field and glean ears of corn after him, in whose sight I shall find grace. And she said unto her, go, my daughter. So again, we see that there's another field that we're looking at. And so we saw Rebecca and Isaac just a while ago. And Rebecca went to Isaac's field. And right here we see that Ruth is in Boaz's field. And what ended up happening was that Boaz ended up being the kinsman redeemer for Ruth. So 4:9, and Boaz said unto the elders and unto all the people, ye are witnesses this day that I have bought all that was Elimelech's and all that was Chilion's and Mahlon's of the hand of Naomi. Moreover, Ruth the Moabitess, the wife of Mahlon, have I purchased to be my wife, to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance, that the name of the dead be not cut off from among his brethren, and from the gate of his place ye are witnesses this day. And so as you can see right here, although Ruth lost a lot, she lost her husband back in her country. She had to move away from her land, her country land, the culture that she was used to being around, the food, the language. She had to leave. She left a lot, relatives. But she left, and that was a sacrifice. So she can start a new beginning, a new chapter. She was being repositioned. And as she was being repositioned, she was coming into alignment for wealth, coming into alignment for a spouse, and also, also ultimately a family. She was able to have a family. And from her line of people, from her seed, came David, and then Jesus. And so she had a anointed seed generation, and look how God blessed her, all because she was repositioned. And so in this season, many of you guys are going to be repositioned into different places, and it may be hard. It will be a sacrifice to leave your family, to leave everything that you know of, and to start all over. But with this repositioning, it's going to align you with the people that you need to meet for business, for jobs, for a new career, and for some of you guys, for a spouse. Okay, new friendship. Also, God may reposition you to be a part of a ministry. Who knows? But be ready to be repositioned when needed to be. It's a sacrifice, but be ready. I know that I'm being repositioned right now in regards to a new career, and I am preparing for that. You know, it's not easy. It does take preparation, but as you as you cross over and be repositioned to wherever you're supposed to be, I believe that God will bless that. God will bless that. And things will come into alignment. You'll meet who you need to meet. And there's going to be peace. And so those of you guys that are starting new chapters this year, much success to you. And just remember that the new beginning will be greater than what you leave behind. Stay blessed.